What's going on, guys? So the event dungeon is ending relatively soon. I got a team I want to share with you all, but even more importantly than that, I want to encourage you to either do stage 20, push to stage 30, or sink some energy into the event dungeon. There's been several times this week where I'm going to do takeovers on accounts, account reviews, and players are missing pinpoint accessories. Now, this dungeon is not very good if you're spending limited energy to give you artifacts, specifically pinpoint artifacts. You just don't get that many. However, what it is really good for, if you're limited on energy, is a ton of pinpoint drops. Now, the unique thing about these is with a two-piece set, just a necklace and a ring, you're getting an extra 10% speed. 10% speed on a 100 speed champion, 100 base speed, is going to be an extra 10 speed. No other accessory is going to give you that, especially if you're a mid-game, kind of early game player. If you can push to stage 20, which is really not that difficult, the accounts that I've been working on for stage 20, matter of fact, I got an account behind me doing stage 20 right now. I could possibly pull it up, but it's using Sun Wukong, Thor, Inquisitor Shemel, just basically killing the side minions and then going for the boss. Stage 20 is honestly pretty easy if you have a decent damage dealer. So stage 20 is good if you can do it. It's going to drop you that 5 to 6 star gear and mostly accessories. I mean, it's going to give you majority of accessories, which isn't so good when you're trying to get, higher end artifacts, specifically pinpoint artifacts for those 4 and 6 piece sets. But just as a progressional player, 100% push for pinpoint. You got 1 week remaining. So the team I want to share with you guys, and then we'll jump into comparing it to the Odin dungeon and how long it lasted, as well as a more free-to-play team that I did in a previous video that I think is very accessible for a lot of players. I want to showcase this one. So this one is what I just built for a player. You could use a Marius instead of one of these newts. Right now, we have 2 triple max HP hits. So if each one's doing 30% of the enemy's max HP, we have 3, 6, Kaimar resets 9, 12. So technically, if you had, let's say a Kryzia, well, she would do a double hit and a double hit, so it'd be 2, 4, 6, 8. So 80%. If you had a champion with a good Soul Reap, if you had a little bit of extra damage, you could finish it off there as well. If you have a Marius, you could do Marius, who would do a 60% total, and then you just need to find the remaining 40%. So maybe you have an Athorion, maybe you have a different double-hitting max HP champion. But as long as you can fit in 100% if you're hitting max HP cap, or a little above that if you're not quite doing enough damage, this team's going to be easy. All this team is a Kaimar going first. I tried to have him a little bit slower than your Carl. It didn't actually work. But Kaimar is just above 300 speed. Your Carl is just above 300 speed. So he's going to place a freeze on everybody that can't be resisted, and it's guaranteed to place. So no 3% fails. It should be 100% successful. And then we have Inquisitor Shemel cleansing the fears. Newt 1 goes in for the triple max HP hit. Newt 2 goes in for the triple max HP hit. Kaimar resets. Your Carl does another freeze, so the enemies never really do anything. And as long as you're tanky enough to potentially survive the Cupidus if he does the A1 ability, which I'm sure he will at least once or twice, then you're going to be good to go. Now that Newt right there is not hitting the max HP cap. This one, I believe, is the one I just now rebuilt, and he's hitting it no problem. It's going to be an extremely consistent 40 to 45 seconds. So if you're somebody who is trying to push the last week of this event dungeon, this is an excellent team. Very consistent, 100% consistent it should be. Relatively easy to gear. I mean, the newts are basically just built for Fire Knight and the typical content they're used in. Your Carl and Kaimar, well, Kaimar is built kind of relatively the same as you'd have him normally. Maybe you put a little bit better gear on him during CVC or during the event tournament or whatever it may be. And then your Carl's just over 300 speed, which isn't easy to get, but you don't have to build him with accuracy. Nothing like that. You don't want no shield buffs, nothing like that, because you don't want the Queen of Hearts boosting and taking an extra turn. But your Carl is super easy to build, just assuming you, of course, you can reach the speed. This is stage 30. But the nice thing about this is it's going to work fine for any stage you do, because they have no cleansers. And if they do, well, they're going to be frozen, so they can't cleanse anyways. So your Carl's placing that freeze, then your damage is going in. Kaimar is resetting after that first rotation, and then you're going in for the nuke once more. Now, the only stage it'd probably be an issue on is if you're going way too fast on a very low stage. But it without a doubt works on probably even stage 24. Let's go ahead and test this out real quick. The only thing I'd be worried about is you lapping the boss, but honestly, even if you were lapping the boss, it's going to be fine because you're going to be reset and then going in. So maybe you need to do a little bit of manual stuff, but honestly, you probably shouldn't. you should probably just be able to climb all the way with this team. Like I said, this team has probably been shown before. I wouldn't be surprised if it had. It's not that complicated. Whenever I had on my original account, I didn't have 2 newts, so I couldn't build this team myself. And then my current account, well, I'm using Sigfrid to clear it, so it's not newt involvement whatsoever. Now here, we didn't get the freeze off because they were low turn meter, but it's fine because we have 2 double max HP hits coming in. On the higher stage, that's a big deal. It really matters. So we're going to sell. This piece is okay to keep. This piece we're going to sell. This account is very low on pinpoint stuff, so I went ahead and built in this team so he can actually start pushing this dungeon in the final week. He has a good amount of gems, but not much pinpoint. Also, a lot of silver. So with this team, all you're doing is having the Kymar go first, using, in this case, it was the A1, but I think I'm going to turn him to opening it with his A2 with a chance of controlling that Cupidus. But it's going to be Kymar opening, Yukaro coming in with this A3 skill that is a guaranteed freeze against targets with over 75% turn meter, which is the case when we're running against stage 30 of Queen of Hearts. The newts are both built to, 1, survive, which is why this newt has a defense necklace on. He needs to be tanky enough to take a hit from the Queen of Hearts. If he dies, well, it's not great news. 238 speed, not great crit damage, really not a great newt build, could be improved, but this newt is doing enough damage so that we're able to kill the boss. Remember, we're doing a 120% max HP potential when we only need 100%. So we can miss a decent chunk of damage and still be fine, especially with Soul Reap on the slower newt. So if you have 2 newts, but only one has Soul Reap, try to have the Soul Reap one going slower than the non-Soul Reap newt. So this newt is fully booked. He has Giant Slayer masteries. The other newt is also fully booked, is a better built newt, much better built. We have lethal, 267 crit damage, good accuracy, not really relevant here, but we have Soul Reap on him. Soul Reap specifically 3-star is going to go ahead and finish the boss off at 8%. So below the enemy max HP cap anyways, the cap is 10%. Sometimes the 5 and 6-star stuff leave a little bit of HP on the boss. And then Inquisitor Shamael is just there to support the team, basically. He's there to cleanse the fears and then do a little bit of damage, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. So we have Inquisitor Shamael just built to survive and cleanse the fears. Now, if we look at the Kymar, and if we look at the Yukaro, Yukaro is not special. As far as the actual books, there's none. As far as there's masteries, there's none. No relics. And the gear is literally just enough HP to take a hit, potentially, and then speed faster than the boss, so faster than 300 speed, slower than Kymar, accuracy, resistance, nothing else matters. He is a free champion. I believe you get his fragments from 3v3 or something. Maybe the clan shop. Either way, he is a free, accessible champion over time. So I went ahead and adjusted the Kymar's gear a little bit just so we can have a bit more HP from that bolster set. So to make sure there's no chance that the newt's going to get too much damage taken from the ally attack from the boss that accidentally kills the newt. So I'm not looking forward to that happening whatsoever. So we can go ahead and get that upgraded. A little bit more HP, close to 70,000. Bolster set is going to be good, but just don't bring multiple shield sets if you don't plan to deal with the boss taking that turn right off the bat. Something to keep in mind. So here we'll go ahead and do a few more runs to see how this actually works, but it's not going to have a problem climbing. It's going to be very consistent here. It's overall a fantastic team. But if you're somebody who doesn't have the champions here, let me show you in just a moment a team that is a bit more accessible. It's a bit more complex as far as the sets and the gear and the things you have to have, but it works out fantastic. So right here, you have the Kymar resetting, the Shamael doing his thing, Yukaro doing the freeze, and then the boss doing the ally attack. For some reason, this looks a little bit different than normal. Not for sure why it looks so strange. Maybe I wasn't paying attention and I missed a turn somewhere. But the boss did that. I'm not for sure why that just happened, honestly. Maybe there was a turn meter boost from a hit or something. But even with the boss hit from the A1, it didn't kill us, which is good. But I don't have to watch back on that in the recording because what should happen... Okay, so we had some weak hits. We had an A1. Somebody may be getting some turn meter boosted from a skill when they take a hit. I wonder if the Kymar has the mastery where his turn meter gets boosted when he takes a hit, or somebody on his team takes a crit. It's more specifically. Because Yukaro maybe okay, he took a turn right before the Kaja did, which is perfect. This is a good speed tune here. Everything should be fine. So she's not taking a turn right now. Wait, somehow she did. I don't know how she got a turn just now. Again, another extra turn. Maybe the Shemale with his Blood Shield accessory is causing her to take a turn. Let's swap this off because he is placing a shield every now and then. But it shouldn't be a big deal. So right now we have just the 5 buffs up. I wonder if before, every single hit that he would do was counting as a shield. If so, you don't want to have Blood Shield accessories. So we definitely don't want her to have extra turns and extra chances to kill us, right? So Shemale does his stuff. We have the freezes. The Queen of Hearts does her ally attack. Before, she was taking an extra turn here. Got a counterattack, slowing us down a little bit. Okay, so now she has no turn. So I bet you it was the Blood Shield accessory that was causing him to get enough hits to boost her into taking another turn, which is interesting to know. So keep in mind, anything that could possibly have some buffs going on, you probably don't want those. You probably just want to get rid of those. I didn't notice that initially, but yeah, she shouldn't have been taking a turn there. She should take one turn here whenever we do the like the very beginning of the fight, and she should do one ally attack. So one strip and fear, and then one ally attack. There should be nothing else besides that. So if you have any Blood Shield, anything like that, just take it off the champions for this. Put it back on them for like your Hydra or whatever, but take it off of them for now. So it should be this skill, and then nothing. What was happening is, I guess, all the decreased defense, yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Stacking up that shield. Yeah, okay, so that's solved, no problem. Now, the team that I was talking about that is a bit more accessible. So the bit more free-to-play version is the Geomancer, Shemale, Emic, Royal Guard, and Newt. I'll link this video down below, as well as the bugs and fixing it video, because a lot of players are running into issues from this video that are explained over here. I tried to break it down the best I could, but if you're running into the issues, check out the video number 2. I'll leave them both linked. So when it comes to doing this dungeon, guys, I very strongly recommend you all to go ahead and do it, because I cannot tell you, actually, probably about 4 or 5 accounts I've been into the last week or so that I was looking for pinpoint stuff and they just didn't have enough. The difference between an Arbiter who's 350 with no pinpoint and an Arbiter who's 360 with pinpoint, you may not think is a huge jump, but that's 10 speed, and that is actually pretty massive. Or the Mikage, who is a little bit short on accuracy and a little bit short on speed, and you throw on a pinpoint necklace and ring, and all of a sudden you have an extra 20 accuracy just from the ring, and then an extra 10 speed or so from the necklace. Now, granted, this is a protection set being broken here, which is why it's not working correctly, but this is just so good for all champions, faction war champions, anything. The accessories are amazing. They're far better than spider accessories. They make spider accessories basically irrelevant outside of, you know, the really good triples and quad rolls, but definitely, guys, jump in here. We have 1 week left. Spend some time doing it. You already know I've been farming a ton of it because I've done so many videos on it, guys, but I wanted to give you guys one more option, and I wouldn't have even made this video because I figured people already knew it, but I got into this account and the person didn't have this already built and was on stage 26 or 27. So, hey, maybe you have these champions, have the gear, which is really not that difficult to hit compared to some of the teams I've seen, and you can make this happen as well. It's not all champions above 300. We have 2 champions above 300, and the rest are just chilling around, what was it, 220 or so with Newts. The Shemale doesn't matter. He's just there to survive. Nothing else even matters about him. But then be careful about the Blood Shield accessory as well. Other than that, this run should be 100% safe, 100% consistent, max HP going out, and about 40-second runtime. Not too bad. Here we go, 40 seconds, and done. Very nice stuff. So let's one more time make sure that the speeds are actually pretty low. We have 238 and 225. So basically anywhere between here and like 300 is going to be fine. You don't have to be faster than the boss, but if your Newt's 280, that's no problem. So your Newts, your Marius, don't use his buff if you use Marius. Your Newts and your Marius will both work excellent here. So guys, best of luck with that. Hopefully that team helps you out. Good luck farming your pinpoint stuff, and I'll catch you all in the next one.